Hello and welcome to UK Fitness Hub. My name's Tarrant, and in today's video we're going to be looking at knee bursitis. We're going to be looking at some of the common types of knee bursitis, as well as looking at the symptoms, causes and some of the best stretches and exercises to do if you're suffering with knee bursitis. Let's get into the video. Let's get straight into it. So firstly, what is bursitis? So anything with itis at the end of its name means inflammation of, and in this case we're talking about inflammation of the bursa within our body. You can get bursitis in many different locations because we have bursa all over the body, and the reason why we have bursa and why it's so important is because it reduces friction between things like our bones and joints and other structures such as our skin, tendons, muscle and so on. What we're going to do in the first part of today's video is we're going to be looking at knee bursitis, and we're going to be looking at the 5 primary locations in where somebody might get knee bursitis. So let's look at that first. Let's take a look at some of those locations now. The prepatellar bursa is located in front of the kneecap. Pre means before in Latin, and patella is the medical term for the kneecap. So this bursa comes before the kneecap. Next up is the infrapatellar bursae. We say bursae because there are 2 of them located underneath the kneecap. One is called the deep infrapatellar bursa, and the other is the superficial infrapatellar bursa. The suprapatellar bursa is found above the kneecap. Supra means above in Latin. It's located at the bottom of the thigh between the quadriceps tendon and the femur bone. The Pes Anserine bursa is located below the knee joint on the inside of the lower leg. It lies beneath 3 tendons that attach the muscles of the thigh and prevents these tendons from rubbing onto the shin bone known as our tibia. Finally, we have the Semimembranosus bursa, which is located at the back of the knee. It provides cushioning between the gastrocnemius and semimembranosus tendons. This bursa, when it becomes irritated, we call a Baker's cyst. When we get into the stretches and exercises later on, this is the only type of bursitis that does not apply to this video. Instead, I'll do a separate video on this at a later date. There's a whole host of different reasons for knee bursitis. The most common are pain, inflammation and swelling at the knee. Sometimes the knee can have a dull ache and feel stiff under movement, as well as being tender to touch and generally looking red and sore. I work specifically with sportsmen and women, so when it comes to knee bursitis for those types of individuals, generally it's as a result of either trauma and impact on the knee. So for example, somebody going in for a rugby tackle and there being sustained pressure on the knee, or alternatively it can be as a result of repetitive strain. So let's take a jumper for example, they're constantly putting pressure through the joints of the knee, so that can be a reason as well. For the general public, sometimes it's just sustained pressure on the knee, so when somebody kneels down for too long, and other times it can be bacterial infections of the bursa or complications of rheumatoid or osteoarthritis. Let's now look at some of the stretches and exercises that we can do. And when we're doing these stretches and exercises, the whole aim is to reduce pain, reduce stiffness, reduce inflammation, speed up recovery, and also increase our range of motion. Let's look at those now. To start off, we're going to work through some basic stretches. When the knee bursae become inflamed, it can cause pain and stiffness. Stretching can help to maintain flexibility and help to reduce inflammation caused by bursitis. To stretch your calves, sit on the floor with both legs out in front of you. I loop a resistance band underneath my toes and begin to pull onto the resistance band. As you're pulling, make sure to flex the foot towards your body until you feel a stretch in the back of your calf. If you don't have a resistance band, you can use a belt, towel, or even a dog leash. Your calf, known as the gastrocnemius, crosses over both the ankle and knee joints, originating at the femur, just above the knee. It assists in knee flexion, which is why it's so important to stretch it out. Next up is a quadricep stretch. I find the side-lying variation of this stretch is far more suitable for those suffering with knee bursitis. To start off, start side-lying. Feel free to use a pillow for neck support should you feel the need to. Stack both legs on top of each other and begin to pull back on your foot furthest away from the ground. The aim here is to feel the stretch in the front of your thigh. Hold this stretch for 30 seconds, 2 sets over on both sides. If your quadricep muscles are tight, stretching will be a vital part of knee bursitis recovery, especially with those suffering with prepatellar bursitis. Not only will stretching improve knee flexibility, it will also help correct muscular imbalances. Moving on to our third stretch, which is a hamstring stretch, start off on your back with the leg you would like to stretch straight and your opposing leg bent. Similar to the calf stretch, you're going to wrap a resistance band, belt or towel underneath your toes. This time, however, you're going to raise your leg up in the air towards the ceiling. As you raise your leg up in the air, you should feel a stretch in the hamstring. Make sure not to cheat by bending your knee as you come up into the stretch. Your knee should be completely straight during the entirety of this stretch. Again, hold for 30 seconds, 2 sets over on both sides. Before moving on to our strengthening exercises, we're going to stretch out the adductors. Start off by sitting down on the floor with your legs in front of you, then bend your knees and try to touch the soles of your feet together. Once in this position, you can grab your ankles and pull your feet closer towards your body. With knee bursitis, I don't want you to push down on the knee to intensify this stretch. Instead, place your hands on your ankles and with your forearms gently push down on your inner thigh until you feel a stretch in the inner thigh. You guessed it, hold for 30 seconds, twice over. Now let's look at some strengthening exercises. When the knee is stiff and sore, the quadriceps can often have trouble stabilizing, activating and coordinating movement at the knee. We're going to start off with the most basic strengthening exercise first, which is heel slides. Start off by lying down on your back with the soles of your feet in contact with the floor and your knees bent. With your affected side, you're going to begin to slide the foot out as far away from your body as possible before returning back to the start position. If, like me, you don't have wood or laminate flooring, try to execute this exercise with a book underneath your foot like I am here. Only go as far as your knee allows you to and gradually build up, completing full repetitions. Work up to 15 repetitions for 3 sets on both sides. Stay lying on your back for the next one, as the next exercise is a straight leg raise. Lie on your back with the leg you would like to target straight and your opposing leg bent at the knee with your foot on the floor. The aim here is to raise your straight leg up towards the ceiling, keeping the knee as straight as possible as you do so. When raising, as soon as my knee is in line with my opposite knee, I return back to the start position. Remember to keep your core braced as you do this movement, and feel free to use a pillow underneath your head for additional neck support. Work up to 3 sets, completing 15 repetitions on both sides. Next up, we have knee pushdowns. Start off in a seated position with the leg you would like to work out straight in front of you and your opposing leg bent at the knee. I place a cushion here underneath my knee, but you can use a rolled up towel or something spongy. I then push my knee down towards the floor as I contract my quadricep. I hold this position for 5 seconds before letting my leg completely relax and repeat this 10 times over for 3 sets. When you can do knee pushdowns correctly and without any pain, you can progress onto leg extensions. I'm in the same position as the previous exercise. This time, however, I place a foam roller underneath my hamstring above the back of the knee. Rather than holding a contraction, I'm slowly bringing my knee into extension as high as I can, then controlling the lowering phase back down until my heel touches the floor. There's more range of motion on this one, so your quadriceps have to work harder to control the lowering phase of this exercise. Aim for 15 repetitions on both sides for 2 sets. Next up, we have leg abductions. Start off by laying down on your side with your legs and feet stacked together. Again, feel free to use a pillow for neck support should you feel the need to. To begin the exercise, start by raising your top leg towards the ceiling. The aim here is to have your leg as straight as possible and to have your heel higher than the position of your toes as you do this exercise. You can make most of the exercises we've covered harder by adding ankle weights or resistance bands should you feel the need to. Try to work up to 3 sets of 20 repetitions on both sides. In a similar position to the previous exercise, we have leg adduction. This time, my top leg comes in front of my body and I begin to raise the leg closest towards the floor up towards the ceiling. You may feel you have a limited range of motion on this exercise, however that's perfectly normal. You should begin to feel this exercise in the inner thigh, which is known as your adductors. Like abduction, work up to 3 sets of 20 repetitions on both sides. When I'm working with athletes with knee bursitis, one of the last phases of exercise recovery is to do exercise ball squats. Here, I place an exercise ball on my lower back and begin to walk my feet out away from the wall. I slowly bend my knees, and as I do the exercise ball rolls up my back. I lower down until my knees are at a 90-degree angle, then slowly raise up back to the start position. Unlike the previous exercises, I can begin to really increase the load of weight for the athlete. For example, having the athlete have a dumbbell in each hand. Control both the lowering and return phase of this exercise and aim to complete 15 repetitions, 3 sets over. And that brings us to the end of today's video. Thank you very much for watching and making it this far. If you've got any questions for me, don't hesitate to put them in the comments box. And if you learned something new, please like the video and consider subscribing to the channel. If you are suffering with knee bursitis, I hope you have a speedy recovery, and I hope some of the stretches and exercises covered help to speed up that recovery and also alleviate some of the symptoms you're suffering with. Thank you very much for watching. You've been watching UK Fitness Hub. I've been Travis Tarrant, and I'll see you soon.